I mean, what do you say after a series like that from T1 and AL? Well, I know what I would say, which is there were way too damn many people that were sitting here saying, oh, anyone's legend looks like the best team in the league. T1 has had cupcake matchups the entire time leading to this portion of the knockout stage. There's no way that T1 contends. Bitch, have we been watching the same T1 for the last decade? Like, at what point do you finally sit here and say, yeah, there's something intangible about T1 that you can't quantify other than by looking at the results, that for whatever reason, no matter what form they are in, whenever it comes to the knockout stage, they are able to turn it on. Whether it's Rock Lee taking the training weights off, like whatever it might be, they find a way to get to this point every single time, regardless of form. There were questions on so many players. And now, look at them. Hey, so during editing, I actually just got confirmation from OSNYC, and I want to put this out there. We are having our finals watch party here in New York City at OS, 3 a.m. Yes, live in Chinatown. We'll be there. I'll be there. I actually have to teach golf lessons at noon the next day, but I will still be there. I can promise you that no matter what. So if you want to come, I will link if there's a Eventbrite like sign up or anything that they need. I will have it in the description down below. But in general, just raise awareness for this. If you have friends that want to travel into New York City to come watch it with all of us, come in. Have some fun. We packed the place out back in 2023, and if T1 makes finals again this year, which it looks like they potentially might, I'd imagine it's going to be a full house again. So come on by, have some fun, no charge at all. Drinks do cut off at a certain time, but I don't remember quite when because liquor laws here in New York City. But that's a problem we'll deal with then. Anyways, just wanted to let you know. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Good Morning North America. Thank you for tuning in. I know many of us are probably going to be low on sleep today. I personally went back to sleep a little bit after that series was done. I know there were some people on TikTok that were like, why didn't you talk about Guma? Brother, I was happy to get an 80-second video out before collapsing and passing back out because I was so goddamn tired. I didn't even watch the entire series live. I watched Game 4 and Game 5 live. Game 1 through 3, I happened to wake up right as Game 4 was starting. Watched through the highlights at 2x speed to see what was going on. Saw that it was a very close series. Game 1 could have gone either way. Game 2 probably could have gone either way. Game 3, I think, fell more like a slump. I'm forgetting a little. No, Game 3 could have went either way. Game 4 was the only one that was really convincing one way or another. But Game 5, man, I mean, look, for all the talk that we've had over the last few months, actually this entire year for the most part, since Fearless Draft became a thing, about why Game 5s are not closer than they typically are. And if you haven't seen Esports Garage's video, they make a great point that, hey, Otacon is actually the big driver of this. And in general, Game 5s have not historically been close in low esports. Fearless Draft or not, they just have not been. Somebody typically takes momentum, something happens. Either way, they're not close. This being as close as it was, and even when it felt like there might have been a tipping point the other way, whenever AL in Game 5 goes up 4 or 5K gold, you're looking at T1's comp saying, yeah, this is still doable. I don't care what anybody says. Now, if Jinx gets a reset, problem ahead, obviously. But for the most part, it never really left that threshold of man, either team could win, including after T1 won that. I mean, they marched down mid, the final push, you can't really say much on. But dear freaking God, I want to give credit to T1 where it's due, especially in this Game 5 draft. And I know people are going to be like, oh, the dude's wearing a T1 jersey, or a T1 jacket, giving credit to T1. Yeah, suck it. Deal with it. I'm biased. I don't give a shit. Look, I don't know if I'm assuming Faker's probably played Mel at some point, but the fact that it's not been picked at all during this Worlds and to then pull it out in a time that you need it most, because I'll be honest with you, going into Game 5, my priority has always been the same. Jinx, Lulu. That's the stock standard Game 5 thing that you do. Money on the line, weight of the world on your shoulders. You need one reset and you take over the game. And you pair that with the Aatrox for anyone's legend. Yeah, I was scared looking at their comp. The Mel and Seraphine completely just flipped it on its head where I'm like, okay, this is even. There's still a world, to be very clear, where in my opinion, if you play it out well, I think AL's comp is pretty good. They gave over a lot in the early game, which didn't help them at all, which I know is due to the fact that Seraphine and Ashe get lane priority on Jinx and Lulu. So it allowed them to get every objective to snowball a little bit better to make sure that like their mid-game fighting would be much better. But dear God, like, oh, like finally it felt like people learned how to adapt to draft in game 5 for Fearless and reach a little bit deeper in those champion pools, because Seraphine and Mel are not champions that we would have ever seen prior to this. Like, no chance, no way. But the reality of Fearless is that there are still almost 100 champions left in the game, and you can make some sort of combination that works at a coherent level to stop what is otherwise a very stock standard draft from AL. So honestly, like I'm really happy that for many reasons with this game, but the biggest one being it proved that it's not a draft issue when it comes to game. Well, okay, it can be a draft issue if coaches don't know how to draft. But the point is that there are still viable comps available. Then on top of that, you just have insane performances all around. I mean, Gumayusi, you got to give him his credit where it's due. I know there's a lot of Guma haters out there. I weirdly see it in the comments, T1 videos whenever I talk about it. I just do not get it for the life of me. That Ashe was played to perfection. There was a fight before the final one where he's gliding. He is slowly working in Aatrox, and if he was given a half a second more, he would have killed Aatrox and possibly would have killed the other two as well. Like, we gave a lot of credit to Viper in the Humble Life series for playing as well as they did. And I know, like, when Faker is on your team, Faker naturally gets a spotlight, especially when he's playing something like the Mel that is a little bit more unique and creative, and you do have Keria making plays on Seraphine. Dude, Ashe is such a simple champion, but when played so well, oh, is it so fun to watch. Oh, I just, it inspires you to want to go in and play the game, and then, like, not be able to replicate that whatsoever in solo queue. But overall, like, just taking a step back as well for AL, like, I know this is going to suck, and a lot of people are going to be like, some people might look at the history of this and be like, they were an 8th place team. I think this is going to result the same way when we look back at like the Griffin Invictus Gaming back in 2020 or 2018 series. This was a finals matchup that just so happened to be in quarters. And there's nothing you can do about that because look, T1 was playing bad in the Swiss stage. So like this is a fair matchup based on how the tournament was progressing. And it just it delivered in every way, shape, or form. Where does this series rank all time? In World's history, in terms of importance, with like the history on the line for T1 and so much more, I mean, it's in my top 5 immediately. It's the best of 5 series of Fearless, without a doubt, like uncontested in my opinion. I know there's other series that have been, there've been some like insane pop-off moments individually, but I think throughout the course of the series, this was just, you could cut the tension with a knife. And there have not been many other series that get that, partially due to the fact that this was Worlds. But, what a day for League of Legends, huh? What a day. And now we go into semifinals, which I think for most people, it's going to be, like, it should be 3-0s both ways. Like, T1 should be able to take care of top. Like, this feels like a matchup that I just don't see. Like, unless top comes out swinging in game 1, it feels like once T1 grabs control of this series, it should be fairly simple on Sunday. Tomorrow's series is the one that I've got my eye on. And I'm genuinely curious to see, can KT pull out the magic that they had in the LCK? Because the thing with Gen G, or at least this generation, is that they've not made a World's Finals. This is the stage where they choke. This is the stage where they get like the crack in the armor. Now, granted, it's been against teams that are not KT, if we're being completely honest. But like, I can't help but go into this series thinking, if you win this, your destiny feels written ahead of you. But this is that one stage where if something just slightly goes wrong, then it could really go wrong. And it could snowball out of control, and then all of a sudden we're sitting here having the conversation that we've had before, and the optics of finals changes entirely. I think we are like, the thing that LoL esports deserves at this point is a Gen G T1 finals when both are firing on all cylinders. We'll talk about that more next week. Obviously, we still got 2 more series to get through first. but I can't help this feeling in the back of my mind from the last few years that for some reason Gen G might chuck this. And I'm not getting excited about KT either. I'm just more getting worried about Gen G. But only time will tell. Either way, I think we got 2 more amazing days ahead of us. I love the fact that semifinals, honestly, is like back-to-back with quarters and we're not getting much rest. We're going straight into it. I do appreciate that, even if I want this tournament to obviously be longer in terms of the amount of games that were played in Swiss stage and getting rid of best of ones. Like, I wish we had more time, but like the pacing of this, I freaking love. I think that covers everything for the most part this morning of Worlds. I mean, there's going to be way more in-depth analysis from Jat and others. I just wanted to get my initial thoughts out there and what was one of my favorite series that you... Coco, you good down there? Nah, she's mostly fine. One of my favorite series that I've watched at Worlds in ever, period. I mean, I'm not going to mince words. I'm just going to say ever. That was so much fun. And you were at the edge of your seat the entire time. Like, those are moments that I will never forget. While my wife is sleeping next to me and I'm trying not to wake her up. That's always fun. But we do have some North American headlines to close this out, which I will mostly save like in-depth conversation, thoughts, and beyond for separate videos as we go on. Because Worlds is almost wrapped up. We'll be able to talk about this a lot more after, but there are moving pieces that are happening in the LCS offseason because Rostermania is here. And the biggest domino of the offseason, which I feel like if we removed Worlds and like the knowledge that like LCK offers and K Corp could come in, this was probably the most predictable thing. But Quid is going to Team Liquid for Sheeb Esports, and I think it's a great. I mean, stylistically, we'll see. Spawn is going to be like Spawn is a way more intensive coach than Golden Glue or Spooks is. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring in Spooks as an assistant coach or something in that capacity. But it's great for Quid. He gets his bag. He finally gets paid because he's been on his rookie deal the entire time that he's been with 100 Thieves. Man is finally going to get what he's deserved. And now I hope we see him not only take a title, but I do want to see him succeed and go international and continue to pop off and have these great performances because the man just simply deserves it. Quid's a great guy. Quid's a great player, and I'm happy that we were able to keep him in our region. The other one, speaking of keeping in our region, is that Inspired is apparently looking at 3 different offers right now. Now, obviously, more could come in. G2 lost. G2 could, in theory, have something else to say right now. But at the moment, Inspired's offers are Team Liquid, which would put them with Quid, FlyQuest, but would notably have probably Gakkos in the top lane because they said that Bwipo is officially out of FlyQuest and is looking for options in both jungle and top side. Or, well, he's out of the top lane of FlyQuest. And Lion, of all teams. So Lion apparently has money this offseason and is willing to spend. So I don't know what that means. I don't know, where Inspired's going to land. I mean, none of us do, obviously. But, like, it's nice to know that we're not losing him to Europe. And that makes me really, like, the biggest worry for me coming into this offseason was that we were going to lose and not be able to retain our talent. And that was scary because we saw Jujutsu go over and the viewership over in Europe is way better and the salaries might be higher at this point for all we know. So the fact that every player that I was worried about possibly going over there for now, other than Busio, who's been baiting the shit out of everything, but I don't believe him for anything. Beyond that, no. We're keeping everybody. And that's a really positive thing going into next year. Like, it's a really good footstep that we need to take. But I'll break more of the Rostermania news down, and we'll talk about it in depth, as well as I put a bit out there of the short list of my teams that I'm looking at in the weeks to come. Like, for now, I think it's just best to focus on Worlds other than, like, getting this information out there for people. Because I know I did a live stream yesterday that was split between YouTube and TikTok. And I don't take lightly whenever a lot of people say, like, hey, I'm you're my main source of news for LoL Esports, as well as like opinions and thoughts and analysis. So I understand I do have an obligation to make sure that people are informed, especially in North America. So that's it for this one for Good Morning North America. I'll be back for another, I don't want to overreact, but after this Sunday. So this Sunday I will post it on Twitter. Get your video clips ready. You can reply to that video and I will do the same thing that we did this past week and talk about all of your thoughts from quarterfinals, semifinals, and previewing finals. I'm going to try and keep LCS like off-season Rostermania separate as much as I can, but I know some people will ask. So thank you for tuning in. If you don't mind dropping a like on this video, hitting that subscribe button, I'll see you around. Bye-bye.